Welcome back to my channel. It seemed like a lot of you guys really enjoyed my last video in which I discussed what you can expect on the first and second days on the Camino Francés as you journey from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Roncesvalles in Spain. So I figured I would keep taking a little break from talking about gear and other things to talk about actual days on the Camino. And I saw a question fairly recently in, I think it was the American Pilgrims on the Camino Facebook group, or it might have been the Camigos group that I'm a part of, asking about the hardest descents on the Camino Francés. And I thought that was a really good topic. So I made a list for you guys here. I have 4 and kind of an honorable mention, which I'll explain. And then after this, I will do a similar one on the ascents, but there are a few more of those. So just kind of as a general observation, so I've only done the Camino Francés. I've heard that the most difficult Camino, at least in Spain, in terms of ascending and descending, is the Camino del Norte along the coast. And people say that the Camino Francés isn't that tough or physically demanding. I haven't done the Del Norte, but I disagree with anyone that says the Francés is not demanding. And I think hopefully with this video, you can be a little bit better prepared for which days may be tougher than you expect, especially if you don't want to bring a guidebook with you. So without further ado, my number one, I'll start with number one. The number one hardest descent for me is after the Iron Cross, the Cruz de Ferro, which is where most people stop and have a special moment and leave a stone if they've brought one from home. But specifically between El Acebo de San Miguel and Molina Seca. For me, this was the hardest descent, I think, because it was the longest. It seemed like probably for at least, it seemed like an hour. Maybe it was shorter, maybe it was longer. But that we were going down, and it was kind of wet and slippery. There were a lot of loose rocks, and it's really a thigh killer. So frankly, I'm not quite sure how transportation would work if you wanted to go to the Iron Cross and then go down in a taxi. This might be one of those areas where you just have to kind of buckle down and be prepared. And then I think it'd be nice to stop in El Acebo and stay there for the night. I just had a coffee and a snack, but it looked like a really cute town. And I think they had a new albergue, which might have even had a pool. So be prepared for that. My second hardest descent on the Camino Francés comes after the Alto de Pardon, which is between Pamplona and Puente la Reina. I don't remember if it's Puente de la Reina or Puente la Reina, but either way, I thought this was tough because it was pretty long and there were just lots and lots and lots of loose rocks. It was dry, but I can imagine that if it had been raining, if it was muddy, it would be even tougher. So I took it very slowly. I only had one stick at that time. I did buy another walking pole after that. But I was very glad to have it because I did a lot of slipping, but thankfully not any falling. But I did hear stories of a lot of people falling there, so you'll definitely want to be aware of that downhill. People are more nervous for the uphill, and I found the downhill a lot harder. My third one is I think a lot of people would say this is their number one, but it's the descent into Zubiri on the second or third day after Roncesvalles. And what makes this descent different, at least when I walked it, again, this was late June, was instead of it being rocks, it's a lot of really jagged, slippery slate. So the slate would kind of make sort of a V, if you will, and there was no good place to walk other than kind of on the sides. And it was slippery. I think it was slate. It's pretty slippery material. So again, I made a video on walking poles. Check it out. I highly recommend even just buying a cheap one before you hit the Camino and having it with you for those first couple of days, especially on this day. Then my fourth one is between Sansol and Logroño. it doesn't have one specific descent that's pretty tough. It just has a lot of up and downs. So I remember this being brutal on the knees, and a lot of it's on asphalt on the side of the road. So I would be prepared for that. You know, this is one place where you maybe haven't taken a rest day and you've been walking for 8 or 9 days. And so you just want to be prepared that this is a day you may want to take more rest or go a little bit slower, because it's deceivingly tough on the legs. And then, so my fifth one, and this is, I have a caveat here, is the descent into Roncesvalles. If you saw my video describing the first couple of days of the Camino, I said go right, go right, go right, go right on the asphalt road. It's a longer journey into Roncesvalles, but it's pretty calm. It's not very steep. It's long and windy. You see some, you know, beautiful terrain and animals. But this could be a lot higher on the list if you decide or accidentally end up on the forest path down into Roncesvalles, which I've heard is really steep, really tough, and often really wet because of the weather in that part of Spain. So I guess, you know, I ranked that fifth, but I guess it could go elsewhere. So those are my top 5 descents on the Camino de Santiago to be prepared for. If you guys have any other suggestions, or if you have any other opinions, or want to let me know of other places that you thought it was pretty hard to descend, let me know, and comment below and throw a like on this video if you liked it. And I will get you guys a new video soon talking about the hardest uphill climbs on the Camino. And you know Febrero is gonna be on there. Thanks guys, see you soon.